Chris Colbert versus Omar Salcido, 10 rounds in the 135-pound division. This fight is taking place tomorrow, Wednesday, October 16th, live on ProBox. You can catch that on YouTube. Let's get into it. Let's start with their respective records. Colbert, 17 wins, 2 losses, 6 wins by way of knockout. Salcido, 19 wins, 1 loss, 13 wins by way of knockout. So Colbert is back in the ring tomorrow for the first time since his loss against Rayo, where he got stopped in that 6th round. So the series with him and Rayo is tied 1-1. Many people thought Rayo won the first fight, but it is what it is, right? So maybe they have some unfinished business moving forward at some point down the road. Colbert was once, especially at 130, he was on a wicked tear, a lot of momentum, a lot of hype around him. And he got some wins against some quality opponents and showcased some of the things that has made him a successful boxer. We're talking the speed, the quickness in the movements, the quick hands, and all of the things in his skill set that he does possess. Colbert is not a brawler type of guy, right? He's confident, and sometimes his confidence can make it seem like he's a bigger puncher than he actually is, right? And sometimes that same confidence can make it seem like he wants to sit in the pocket and bang with you and trade shots, but that's not his strengths. Even though he can fight on the inside in spurts, he needs that mid-distance type of range where he can slip shots and counter or move behind and operate behind that jab. Jab in, explode in, and get back out of there and get out of danger and harm's way. You know, he doesn't have that crazy amount of power in his shots, but he does have the type of power where you got to respect it a little bit. You know, any shot can take out any person if it's hit in the right spot at the right time. You know, but he does have a little bit of pop, even though he doesn't have a whole bunch of knockouts. You know, sometimes he gets himself in trouble when he overcommits, you know, when he's feeling really good and he lets off more combinations than he probably should have pulled back, let off that 3-piece combination and then pull back rather than going 3-piece combination followed by a 4 and a 5. And that's sometimes when he catches himself in trouble and his opponents have been able to counter him. But for a greater portion of his fights, he's been able to get away with that because of that speed and that athleticism that he does possess. When he fought Rayo, especially that second time, he found himself stuck on the ropes too often for me, man. And Rayo is not a light puncher. He's got pop in his shots. He's got power. And that was a perfect place where Rayo needed him to be, because if you're just going to stay on the ropes and you're not really going to move your body, I'm just going to tee off on you. And that's kind of what Rayo did, man. And then Rayo started changing angles and giving different looks and stepping to the side and coming through with that left and stepping back. Rayo added some new dimensions to his boxing ability to make his shots that much sweeter and more effective when he lands. Yeah, Colbert was taking those shots pretty well for the most part, but you can't take that many consistent shots that cleanly fighting off of the back foot, let alone staying stagnant on the ropes. I also think the heavy pressure every single round that Rayo was imposing on Chris Colbert, man, it was starting to slow him down a little bit. Colbert sometimes has a tendency to pull back when he's getting flurried a lot, right? Because he's trying to get out of the way. And sometimes when you're so focused on getting out of the way, you're not really securing your high guard. It was in that 6th round where Rayo feinted with the left hand, Colbert dropped his hands, and Rayo lunged forward with that right hand. And we know what happened after that. It was one of the knockouts of the year, if not the knockout of the year. Once that right hand landed, it was over with. It was a beautifully timed sequence and a devastating finish for Chris Colbert. The thing that concerns me in this fight for Chris Colbert, whenever you lose a fight, it always sucks, right? But if you lose a close decision victory, you know, you kind of bounce back and you get back into the confidence side of things. I'm not saying Colbert is not going to come into this fight confidently because he seems like a very confident guy, but sometimes how you lose a fight matters. And Chris Colbert violently got stopped by Rayo. So I'm wondering, where is he mentally if the pressure is on? Is he going to have that relapse, let that hands go? Is he going to be more defensively responsible? When you get knocked out like that, there's a lot of questions that are going to be asked. And Colbert's going to have to answer those when Salcido puts that pressure on him. So this is a great opportunity for Salcido. He only has one loss, never been stopped before. After suffering his first loss, he won his next fight. So he's back into the win column. So he's feeling good, feeling confident. He's fighting a guy who is coming off of a devastating stoppage. Talking about Chris Colbert. And Salcido has decent pop in his shots. This is a fight that he can win. This is a fight that I'm sure on the betting side, he will be the underdog. But I don't know how wide it is, but I don't think it should be as wide as it's probably going to be. I think Salcido is a live dog in this fight. Salcido is a rhythmic fighter. He doesn't start particularly fast. He's patient, but not too patient. He's throwing his jabs, body shots, a few hooks, just to kind of see what his opponent is going to do. This is a guy that does not neglect any part of the body. He will go to the body and go to the body early. Once he starts letting his hands go, getting more confident, he does put together some pretty good combinations. He knows how to close out the show when his opponents is hurt. He's gotten a few stoppages by going to that body. So he does make that a target, and it's probably a great target in this fight because Chris Colbert, he's going to be quick. He's going to be moving. But if you can slow down that moving target and go to the body, that's going to work in your favor. Now, in the fight that Salcido lost, it was against Jose Nunes. The speed and the movement was a problem for Salcido. He wasn't consistently coming behind the jab early in the fight. He was trying to load up on that one big shot to close out the show, especially early, as I mentioned, whereas Nunes kept the range, kept his feet moving, stayed off of the ropes, and fought a more catch and counter approach in this fight because he knew he had the speed and the athleticism. But that fight was not without its dramatic situations, right? In that 7th round, Nunes caught Salcido reaching with that right, and his body and the momentum kind of carried him. And then Nunes came with that left hand, boom, right on the chin, and scored himself a knockdown. And it seemed like Nunes was about to go and get the stoppage, but he wanted that stoppage so bad that he started to become reckless, and Salcido scored himself a knockdown in that same round before the round ended. If Nunes would have slowed things down a little bit and not just go crazy, he might have been able to get that stoppage, but he was a little reckless with his approach in how he was trying to execute that knockout punch and that knockout blow, and he found himself on the canvas. Going into that 9th round, both men were tired, man. Both men were leaving everything that they had inside of the ring, right? But Nunes was a little bit quicker, a little bit more athletic, and had a little bit more hand speed where he could get in and counter quickly and get out. And I think that helped him win the fight. So in comparison to Nunes and Colbert, this could be a similar style that Salcido has seen before. So it's going to be interesting to see how he adjusts in this fight against Chris Colbert. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/the breakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. You know, I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos and videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. The reason why I think this is going to be a tougher fight for Colbert than what he probably wants it to be is because he might be a little hesitant because of what happened in his last fight. Right? The chin doesn't always recover from shots like that, from stoppages like that, both physically and mentally sometimes. Right? So he's got to be careful in this fight. And I don't think he will be as offensive in this fight as we've seen him in previous fights before. Salcido, his strength is going to be, can I pressure him enough and make him make mistakes? Right? Can I pressure him enough where he stays on the inside or he stays on the ropes long enough for me to outwork him? Right? Can I outwork him every single round in this fight without getting myself in too much danger? So I think if Salcido can make this a rough and tough and grueling fight and drag it out a little bit, that might be a way of advantage for him in this fight. I think if you can hit Colbert enough times and go to the body, slow him down, I really think that he can win this fight. And I would not be surprised if Salcido does win this fight. But I think he's going to have the right game plan, not fight emotional, and execute that game plan to the best of his ability and not just go through trying to bulldoze his way through, because Colbert, he'll still counter him. He'll counter him and use his speed and athleticism to his advantage, especially against a slower opponent. So I still like Chris Colbert to win this fight by decision because of the speed and his hand speed, the athleticism, and how quickly his counters will be. His hand speed, I think, will serve him well in this fight. But honestly, I would not be surprised if Salcido broke Colbert down with pressure and aggression and volume, and he does get the nod. I have questions about Colbert coming into this fight after that devastating loss to Rayo, but I'm still going with Colbert to win this fight by decision. But Salcido, I think he's a live dog in this fight. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. How do you think this one goes? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll definitely see you next time.